Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Ladies Edition. I am Chelley Cheyenne. I am a podcaster, a life coach, and an author with my coaching practice, Coaching by Chelley. And my gorgeous co-host.
Where's she at? Oh, it's me.
Oh, we'll see. I'm trying to be nice for once on the air.
Hey y'all, it's Shameika from Check the Rhymes TV, and I have the Mofo Chronicles blog. Make sure you check both of those out. And you know what's funny though, Chelley? Because I'm so used to saying, and check me out on sweet929.tv. Guess who's in the house today to talk with us?
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna let both of these gentlemen tell you about themselves. But joining us today, we're gonna let the men folk talk. We have Chuck from sweet929.tv and Will. So let's kick this off. Chuck, tell us about yourself and what brought you to Ladies Edition. We welcome you.
I appreciate y'all having me on, of course. Hey, I don't take things like this for granted. I am Chuck Holliday, the founder of Sweet929, both the video network and the parent company. I've done about 15 years in TV as a camera operator and every now and then a producer, pseudo producer. Done a few things here and there. I'm not going to get into networks and all that other stuff, but nice little 15-year career in TV. And yeah.
Okay.
That's my main gig. We won't go into the other stuff today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome.
But I'm excited to talk about this today, though, because this is definitely a serious topic.
Absolutely. And Will Dawson, welcome.
Yeah, I thought they were going to say my name was and Will because you were just like, "There's Chuck Holliday, everybody." And Will.
Uh-oh.
My name
man.
is Will.
And you know I'm not a great hype woman. You're
Clearly.
always the hype one. So.
My name is Will Dawson. I'm a writer and editor. I've been writing a journalist for a better part of almost 3 decades. I've been doing my thing. I've written for television, working on books, and today I'm here to talk with the ladies about what, like Chuck said, a very serious topic. So I'm ready to ask some questions and hopefully participate in the conversation.
Okay, not to put pressure on you guys, but y'all are representing all the men out there.
All the men, all of yes, all the men's.
Well, we represent Black people all the time anyway, so it's fine.
Well, we are glad that y'all are here because I know, and I know Shameika and I talk about this all the time. When we talk to each other about issues relating to women, we come to the same, I guess, the same thought, the same end thoughts that men aren't very supportive of what we go through as women. We are always evolving, always changing, always having more hormonal or changes than I guess men do sometimes. And that sensitivity level isn't there and support isn't always there. So we wanted to have y'all on to just hear more about what women really go through so that you don't think it's your girlfriends or wife just, complaining and nagging for no reason. But we're trying to put a different spin on it, I guess.
Yes. So let's kick it off because we don't know what your experience is so far with dating someone that has infertility issues. So I'm going to kick it to Will. Like kid and play, we don't, do the little kick thing. Tell us about your experience dating somebody with infertility issues.
Well, I'll tell you, the first time I knew someone, and I'm going to talk about fibroids first of all, was when I worked in a nonprofit. I worked at a Black nonprofit for years, and everybody was like family, like they say, but it was really true. So the first time I heard about fibroids, one of my coworkers had told me that she had it, and then she had to be out for like almost a month because of the surgery. So I didn't know what it was. And so I acted like that. I was like, oh man, that's too bad. But I really had to go and do my research and figure out what she was really going through, because if you're going to be out for a month, that's definitely something serious. So I was in my 20s then. So I was like, oh yeah, let me look that up and see what that is. And then when I found out, I was like, oh my God. And so when she came back, she had lost a lot of weight post-surgery. And so, but I really at first did not know what it was. So the first time I heard about fibroids, I had to educate myself. So I was kind of prepared, but not really later on when I dated someone who was having the same issues. And so I was actually, thankfully, more prepared to help her, quote unquote, as she dealt with what was going on with her.
That's a good political answer. But I'm gonna come back to that. What about you, Chuck?
Oh, you're crazy. My first experience with it was probably about 10 to 15 years, maybe 10 years ago, I would say, with two clients who were feuding over, I don't know what they were feuding over, but I know that it was a woman and a man, and she had been dealing with some issues, and he didn't understand it and he didn't want to hear it. So he just kept feeling like, oh, she's just acting stupid. And he's not exactly in the mature department, if you know where I'm going with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up having a chat with her because she came up for Fashion Week, and this is when I was still living in New York. And she had mentioned it in passing, and she had mentioned that was what her, she was dealing with that, and caused her to kind of take a little bit of a breather from everybody and everything for a minute. And she was a publicist at the time. And that was when I understood, and I said, let me go ahead, just like Will, so let me go ahead and read up on this real quick. And I read up on it and I said, ooh, this is serious. This is very serious. And it made me now understood why she was dealing with some of the issues that she was dealing with and how she reacted to them the way she did. Mm-hmm. And again, I didn't understand it at the time, but I had a little bit more of an open ear than my client at the time. So it was easier for me to understand it, I mean. And it worked out in terms of our continued friendship, which still continues on to this day. They no longer speak.
Okay. Chelley, do you have any questions?
Well, I think one of the things that I know, dating someone during the time when I had fibroids, it was like, hell, I didn't even know I had them, but I just remember him making a comment about my stomach, and it was a little more poochier than normal. And I don't know if it was a thing where he kind of tuned out because he didn't want to address it or bring it up or make me feel insecure about it, but I think by him not talking about it made me feel more insecure than if he just said, hey, what's going on with your stomach? Like, and I know that's tricky, because if a guy says that, then immediately a woman will get defensive or say, oh, you're trying to say I'm fat. I get that. But I feel like I wish he would have made more of an attempt to talk about it, and just at least say, what's going on, or do you want to talk about what's going on? So I think sometimes, do men feel not to address certain things with women because they don't know how to, or is it more so they don't want to make that woman feel more insecure or, uncomfortable?
You want me to take this as well? I think it's a tricky thing because men are always a little bit operating from the defensive end. You don't want to ruffle any feathers, but at the same time, some people don't know how to be sympathetic either. And I can't speak for everyone, but I had that problem maybe in my 20s, that I didn't really understand how to be sympathetic towards sensitive things like that. And even when I just mentioned with two clients that were feuding, she had her fibroid procedure where she had it removed. And much like what you just mentioned, what you just dealt with, Chelley, was the same thing that he was basically saying to her. It was the same thing. I think men are willing to understand, but men sometimes can also not understand how to be sympathetic. And it's one of those things where you want to say something encouraging, but then at the same time, some don't know how to say anything encouraging. And then you have some women who don't want you to say anything encouraging. So it's a tricky thing.
What do you mean? Some women don't want to say anything encouraging. What do you mean?
I most recently dated two women who had the fibroids very prominently bothering them and affecting them. And one in particular, you try to be encouraging and sympathetic and just even work with them on alternatives to maybe make them just feel a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more comfortable. And she did not want that. She didn't want the comments. She didn't want the sympathy, anything. And she just rather you just not say anything. So it was just a weird dynamic, when you're trying to be understanding of something. And sometimes there are some, I'm not saying some as in a lot, but just a couple who don't really even want that at all. They don't even want the encouragement. They don't want anything. It's just a weird thing.
That's
I think-
interesting.
I
Yeah.
think in my lady's situation, she didn't know how to react to it because she wasn't educated on it either. So it was more like, all right, well, I don't know what's going on. So don't touch me, don't come near me. I don't know what's happening to my body. But once she found out, listen, sometimes with men is what you don't know, right? So I learned about before, but with a coworker, there's only so many questions you could ask them before you start like, so you're sitting at the cubicles like, what was it like? Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Go to HR.
Right. So when you talk about the situations where they physically change, you have so my question was, does it hurt? Like, what is happening to your stomach? Like, what kind of pain is it? Because it's not a pregnancy where you could see that in the movies or on TV. So it's like, what is your pain level? What is your pain threshold once you found out? So it's more about so you have that education from books, but then when you're actually in that space, in that situation with that person who you love and you don't know how to help them, you just go to trying to ask questions that will elicit the best answer and hopefully from what they know about themselves they can answer, even if they don't know much about the disease or the situation.
Gosh, y'all seem so nice about it, because the last dude I dated, it's just like poking at my stomach. Why is your stomach so big? What's going on? I'm gonna put you on a workout plan. You need to on and on. And I'm like, I didn't know my fibroids were back at that point. So of course I'm in my feelings, and it's just piling upon my already self-esteem issues with my body, and that just didn't help. And then when I did find out, it was like he just grew distant, like and never asked questions, nothing. It was still like the only thing he said was, I want you to be healthy, so let me know if you want to work out.
Even after you told him?
Yeah, I mean, he was trifling anyway, but still. He didn't even try. But on the flip side of that, my own father didn't want to hear anything that has to relate to women's issues. Nothing. Even now, even after my hysterectomy, he don't want to talk about it. He don't want to know about it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I think it's uncomfortable for men to hear like how you and I would talk about it. Well, girl, how does it feel on the inside? We get into the whole, because we're comfortable. We have the same parts, but I think with men, they're just like with my brother, he was just like, when I'm mentioning cycle, I'm like, dude, I had a cycle. Mommy had a cycle. You got 3 women in the house that got cycles. Like, you around a cycle, your dog had a cycle. Like, come on, everybody, so you can't like not talk about it. I know some guys are just squeamish. They don't want to talk about the menstruation or whatever. They don't want to talk about it, but it's a part of life. And it's like, especially if you're a husband or a boyfriend or whatever, it's like you have to know these things about your woman, because she is not like you. She's not going to not have any kind of things that we go through. So the more you are just open to talk about it and hear about it and actually really pay attention. Like, there's some men that's just like, I'm listening, but I'm really thinking about the Knicks game, because you know what? I didn't like that. And they're off in their own minds. They're not really listening. They're not hearing you. And that's what I experienced when I was dating this guy, and we were in a long relationship, and I finally figured out what was going on. I had was getting ready to have surgery. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I need to talk to you about this because this affects you too. And he was like, how? And after cussing him out a little bit, because I do have a little fiery tongue. Okay. I'm from Chicago. I'll cut you. I'll cut you. So I was like, well, it affects you because of fertility. If I don't have this, then, we may or may not be able to have a child. So I'm good with that. But are you, and he literally said, well, I'm in the middle of, I got to go pick up my homeboy because we're getting ready to go play ball. And I had to say, MF for what? And and it went off, but it was the way he approached it by avoiding it.
Yeah.
And then he never circled back to talk about it, to say, okay, let me just, and then we'll talk later, but he didn't. So yeah.
In our defense,
Okay.
defense. All right. So growing up in a Black household, if something like that was happening to our, let's say our mother or our aunt or somebody that was living with us, they probably wouldn't tell us all the details about what was going on. It was like, oh, your mom, she has to go to the hospital for a while. And you're like, oh, okay, as long as mom comes out okay, she's good. So being in a house with someone who might have had that situation, whether it be fibroids or have to have a hysterectomy, you probably, as a male boy, you probably would not know about it if you didn't go searching for that type of answer. All right. So that's in our defense when we were younger.
Okay.
Now, once you find out about it, it really is on you as a man or as a partner to figure out what is going on. And even if you don't know how you can help, at least you'll be, like I said, and I keep saying, education is important because it will affect you, even if it's just the mood in the household or certain things that your woman can't do anymore. And when we grow up, we're thinking, all right, well, the difference between men and women is that women carry the children and women are able to do so, and we are not. And so learning that they are not able to do so either could be jarring. And if you want to remain ignorant, you can. But so I think that's a change that a lot of men, because they didn't grow up knowing those things, they could be, it might not be able to compute with them that what is happening. So I'm not going to give him a break, and I'm definitely not going to give your guy Shameika a break.
He doesn't deserve one.
No. But what I will say is that it could be something where they just don't know, and they don't know how to deal with that information. So thankfully, I had that first situation at my old job, because I promised if I didn't, then going into the relationship part, I probably would have been like, I'm going to leave you alone. I'm going to be over here, But so we do have to get educated. So.
And I'm going to add on to you, Chelley. I'm going to add on to what you just mentioned with the dude and
the AMFer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that better. Here's another, and Will is right. Will nailed it he nailed it perfect. Here's also some extra stuff too on top of that. You have a lot of men, and I'm not gonna say everybody, but you have a lot of men who ideally will not want to tackle anything serious until it affects them directly. Unfortunately, we're dealing with people who they will avoid something. It could be spiraling, it could be snowballing right in front of them. Until it immediately affects them, they will not address it. And unfortunately, this has become a common occurrence, especially with men probably 34, 35 and up. And you're really seeing just dudes who will just avoid something until it really hits them head on, until you got them by the throat. Then all of a sudden, now it's a problem. Even though it's been a problem in front of them, it could be a problem in front of them for 10 months. The moment you grab them by the throat, now it's a problem. Unfortunately, you have men who are like that.
Oh, it's a problem when you're like, sex hurts, ain't happening. And then they're like, what? What does this mean? I don't get none, blah, blah, blah. But on the
then
flip
you got
side
their
of that,
full attention.
Yeah. Or even just with after or leading up to my hysterectomy, or even like after, if I've mentioned I had a hysterectomy, some guys are like, oh, that means, I could just go up in there, blah, 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 and it's like, that's the first thing you thought of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no, you're not, because I don't even like you. Like, I mean, but you know what I mean? It's just weird that they
Mhm.
immediately go to sex. But I guess
Yeah.
that's the thing, they're like, that affects them. I mean, even if it really doesn't, because if you, even the ones I'm not dating or anything like that, that's still the first thing they've said. It's really weird. Why you always got to go to the sex?
I'm
Because
wondering
that's all
because-
men want is the sex.
Nah.
All? You said, define all. What do we
You know, we like long walks in the park.
Oh, hell.
No,
Yes, we do.
just like black
Walks
men
in
don't
walks
cheat.
in the park or sex.
Chelley,
They're equal, you're saying?
I'd take you for a walk in the park.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll go for a walk in the park too. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Which park? Grant Park, or we talking about which park we talking?
Humboldt Park.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Do y'all need a moment? Because me and Will are sitting here awkward.
I close my box.
Right here. But the one thing I will say is that dudes need to do a better job of establishing emotional support. And this is something that I didn't learn until later in life. I didn't learn this until my 40s.
Mm.
That emotional support is more important than even trying to be sympathetic. And I go to what you just mentioned, Shameika, with a dude instantly thinking, okay, and I'll be graphic here. The first thing they're thinking is, I don't have to pull out. And it shouldn't have to be that way when you can provide emotional support. There's so much mental that and just emotional everything that comes with any surgery. It doesn't matter if it's this or anything. There's so much that goes into it. And we gotta do a better job of emotional support.
Mhm.
Why did everybody get cool?
Sorry.
I'm still feeling
Amen.
awkward.
No, sorry.
So I have a question though.
Yes.
Let's try to tilt this thing back up. So, like Chelley said, when she went to her guy to tell him, she had fibroids or whatever. So my experience with telling the guy that I'm dating, I was like, crap, I'm gonna have to tell this man I just started dating that I'm having a hysterectomy.
Mm.
And so I kept putting it off. So I did everything because I was afraid of his reaction. And then I was like, well, wait a minute, it's my body. Who cares what he thinks? Like, I don't even know if he's gonna be around after. So, but I'm still like chicken. So I told him in the bathroom in Vegas while on the phone in the bathroom stall. And so, it's loud, music's playing. And I was like, I'm having hysterectomy. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
What?
So what was your
called back
hesitation?
and
Did
he
you
was like,
were
"What
you
do
wait, hold on. Were you concerned about what he would think? Do you think he was going to break up with you because of that, or
I
because
didn't know because I had seen so many like stories online about how guys reacted once a woman has a hysterectomy. And so we were I used to be in the Facebook group with Chelley about like, and it's about like the hysterectomies. And so a lot of the women would talk about how their man, whether it's somebody they're dating or their husbands, would react to the thought of even not being able to have sex for 8 weeks or more. And that they would only be able to, it would be limited, for a while. They were just so hateful. And so I was terrified, like, am I even going to be able to date after this? How am I going to do this? But then when I got back from Vegas, I was like, okay, I need to actually talk to this man where he can hear what I'm saying. And when I did, he was just like, okay, so that's going to make you feel better. Okay, cool. What do you need? Like, and I made the decision then that, no, I don't want you to come here. Just leave me be. Let me sit in my, have my pity party. Cause I don't want anybody around. I didn't want my friends, nobody at that, like those first few weeks, because I needed to deal with that. But I'm just curious as to you two, what your experience, like what you said the minute your woman said, hey, I have fibroids, or hey, I'm going to have surgery or whatever, and what was your immediate thought? Was it, let me pause for a second and then respond? Or was it just the first thing that came out of your mouth? And what was it?
I'm a journalist by trade, so I automatically like a lot of questions popped up.
Yeah.
Just like this question, we're gonna get back to later about why you got kicked out of that Facebook group. But first, let me answer. We're coming back to that. So the questions I had was, how does she feel? Does this hurt? Like, what is that pain? And can people die from this? So those are the questions I had. Any surgery. A lot of people, Black people, don't trust doctors, don't trust hospitals. They got that thing on TV about the mortality rate of women who go in for simple, pregnancies or births, and they don't make it through. So a lot of questions come up about, but you want to be supportive, but you're scared too because you are with this person, you are their partner. What if they don't make it back out? So the questions are coming a mile a minute. You don't want to show that fear because they already have some. So you just want to be supportive and be there for them. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, because we're used to the norm. I could have an earache for a month and don't go to the doctor about it. But the minute I'm off balance, I'm like, oh, I got to make an appointment because I don't want to fall out in the street. So we don't deal with things that serious right away sometimes as men. So when you hear that it's gotten to that point, it's like, how bad is it? What kind of pain is it? And so you think about the sex, but I mean, if you're mature, like Chuck and I are, come on, you really want to know about the health of your partner and make sure that they're okay.
Exactly. And it's same here. I mean, I had a situation where she came out and said, hey, these fibroids are affecting intimacy. So this is it's a spiral and it's building and it doesn't feel good. So my first thought was, okay, and this is literally the first thing I said was, how can we make life better now from a daily quality of life standpoint? We threw out the sex. That's cool. Whatever. Throw that out. Now it's how can you affect the daily quality of life? Let's try to improve that. Is there certain foods that now we should avoid that trigger? Or is there certain mood or is there certain not mood, but is there a certain time of the day that you're eating that now gets in the way of these things? Does it bother you at this time? Da, 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 da. And you just try to provide as much support as possible. At least for me, that was what I focused on. And yeah, sex was out. That was out. That didn't happen. Probably, I don't think, for the remainder of it. And that was cool. I mean, it is what it is. You want to make sure, like Will said, you with a partner, you want to make sure that they are in a better place. Just from a daily quality of life standpoint, more so than anything else.
So you were okay with not having intimacy with your partner based on what she was going through.
So are we talking intimacy or sex? What are we talking about here?
Okay, let's split it up. Let's do the physical, the sex first.
Yes,
intimacy, we'll talk in a minute.
I was okay with it, and that ended right then and there because if it was bothering her that much, to where it was affecting and hurting, then it stops. That's that.
So you didn't try to like adjust.
Asked and answered, Your Honor. Asked and answered, Your Honor. My client has asked and answered the question.
No, because I listen, I was at the doctor's office asking about the position. So
Objection.
I need to know if you tried
overruled
to make it comfortable.
Yes.
That's where some of the problem is, because how can I continue to go on into that question with her if she came out and said it's now affecting, kind of her physically. I'm not going to now try to go for alternatives with that. If it's bothering somebody that much to come out and say that, then how am I going to look selfish and start asking, well, maybe we could try another way to do it? No.
You always got a mouth.
Then it's out. Then okay.
You got other holes.
Yeah, you got other holes. Your ears are still working, ain't it?
No, because that's
kitties, don't
selfish
you?
on my own. And, I'm more.
Where am I?
If it's bothering her that much to where she has to come out and say it, then that means it's a big problem. So
okay. What did you do how did you personally handle this for yourself? Is that too, that's too intrusive.
Like, I'm here.
I'd like to approach the bench, Your Honor.
No, because
I didn't, honestly speaking, when you get to, All
I mean,
right.
this is a question that we see. This is a question that we see on the
I think
Facebook
we need a
group.
recess. Can we? Just
No, I got
This is
Will.
this is a question
I
that this is an
appreciate it, Will. I
honest
appreciate
question. This is an honest question that we see.
it.
We see this on the
That's in
group
New
that
York. I got you.
Shamika, we see it on the group that
Okay.
Shamika was talking about. And this is a question. This is what the women are talking about. How, you know, if they approach their partner and saying, hey, this hurts, and I don't know sexually if I can continue, then there's all these other things that men are doing because of that. So you're saying that a lot of men, you know, need to be sensitive to it, but there are also needs too, right? So are
Yes.
you just it's not selfish to consider those needs, but how are you handling those needs then? If you have a partner that says she can't handle them, how I just want to know.
No, well, the relationship ended, but it ended over some other. No.
Will,
Oh, Your Honor. Hold on.
Will
I gotta confer with my client. I
you
gotta
need to talk to your client then.
No, it was unrelated. to
Order.
that. It was totally unrelated to that.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know. I just felt like from my standpoint, I didn't want to start getting into selfishness and start asking about stuff like that. You know, I think at my stage, I'm, you know, at the time I was in my towards mid 40s, and I just felt like, hey, look, if it doesn't work out for now, then let's. Again, I think for me, my focus is more or less trying to make her happy from a day-to-day standpoint, and then maybe that would have been addressed maybe down the line.
Mhm.
You know, alternatives or what she wanted to do in terms of, did she want to look at a procedure, or did she want to look at elected something natural to maybe kind of work on, you know, trimming it down a little. We're not gonna trim it down all the way, but just maybe minimizing some of the pain, things like that. So for me, that was my focus. I wasn't worried about that. Look, I think that when you get to a certain point in life, that will work itself out later and some other time. I was just more worried about quality daily life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will,
And Chelley is looking at me like, no, I'm not.
No, I get it. I hear it. I just think
But-
that, you know,
I wanted to be there for
Mhm.
my partner in support, and that was more important to me than anything else. I mean, yeah, I think we eventually talked about maybe other alternatives later, maybe a few months later, but
what?
at that
what are the
time-
alternatives?
Like, what is the alternative?
Are you saying alternatives for her or alternatives for you?
No, I think it was just alternatives for both of us. Again, and she was the one who brought it up. I didn't bring it up, you know.
Okay.
No, but
Will,
Will was
Like
looking at it.
surrogates? Like, what are we doing?
but again, for me, it was really just about making sure that she was cool first. Look, when you get into a certain age, and you know, I'm not gonna throw my whole life out there, but you know, I've had my fun in my 20s, and so for me, that was not something that was, you know, was the first thing on my mind.
okay.
Okay.
What about you, Will?
I want Chuck representing me in anything. Me and him are forming a union now because his answers are.
I tried. Well, I tried.
You danced around that like you was in a ballroom. All right, listen.
Right.
Listen. You do you think about that, but then you just pleasure yourself. But that's all you got to do. That's like, you got, like Shameika said, you got the fair hand. High five yourself in your crotch anytime you want. But you don't, like, I feel like you were asking, did we cheat? And of course, like my client said, you know, no way. But you do figure out ways to pleasure yourself. So you know, so you're there for that. You're not stressed out too.
So one thing that I've also noticed before I got kicked out of that group was that a lot of, and even, you know, people that I know that have gone through a hysterectomy or myomectomy, whatever surgery they've had, you know, you need that downtime to heal. But it's like some of the women, especially in that group, a week, there was one that was like the next day after the surgery. She's like, my man wants to have sex. So they feel like they have to, or they're going to lose them, or they are like, is it okay if we do oral? And I'm like, you can't wait. Like, don't that, like, it hurts. Like, you just had surgery. Everything hurts. I don't even understand this.
But see, some men think, well, you didn't have surgery in your mouth. Your teeth and gums are okay.
Oh my God.
Listen, we don't play on this. This is an open conversation. Okay.
No,
And this is real. This is what men do. Men are some men are selfish.
Yes.
And they don't care that women had just had an entire organ, the system pulled out of them, their body, and they are healing. And here you go, I roll over and I'm looking at some point, I looking at me, and it's like, come on, like, do I get a day off?
Like,
can I not have surgery
down your throat?
Yeah. Or you feel this in the middle of the night, you're like, what?
Savage.
What is going on?
But that's also a part of the fact
I'm just saying,
we have to do a better job of really learning how to provide emotional support and patience as well. Like, it's not gonna be the end of the world if it doesn't happen tonight. At least to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys just don't want to be educated on it, and so they're like, hey, well, you back, you good. So what's up? So I feel like they're just like y'all said, they are selfish human beings. Yeah, you gotta understand. You gotta be more understanding. But I just want to understand why you got kicked out of the group, though.
well, the group has, as you know, Facebook groups, they usually have certain policies and you're not supposed to violate them. And Shameika did. She did it with good intent. She did it with good intent because we were starting this podcast, and this was a great opportunity for the women in that particular group to hear about this podcast. So I think she went in there thinking, hey, let me just, but you're not supposed to mention brands or sell or do anything like that. And she came up in there and they're quick. They're quick with it.
We have a podcast coming out. This is the name of it. You can look for it. I didn't say where.
You like the commercials in midday talking about, if you have suffered from mesothelioma, come on our podcast.
And then I get a text message. Hey, can you get into the group? Sure can. What's going on with you? Oh, that must have got blocked. You sure did. You sure did.
Damn.
Yes.
So we want to turn the tables and let you guys ask us questions.
Okay.
Be gentle.
All right.
No, they ain't got to be gentle because they, some people are petty, so they're gonna try to come back and say that we were attacking them, so they're gonna try to come back with something. But it's all good to me.
No, I have questions, and especially to Shameika, because she's been very open about what she was going through, and then her and I are friends, so we've talked about all this before. So I do know the pain that you went through when you were dealing with that, and the decision you made when you made it. So I guess my question to you is, since you were dealing with that for a while, what was your darkest hour? What was your lowest point that made you decide this is something I have to do? Like, my God, this is it.
When I kept getting them iron infusion bills, I was like, I can't be doing this. I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this. Because it's like, you go through the iron infusions, your iron levels are up, but then when your menstrual cycle is so heavy and you're like bleeding through your clothes, bleeding nonstop all the time, then the iron levels drop and then you're back in the infusion center. So that roller coaster, that really I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I've done this twice. It's not working. It's just going to continue because the heavy periods are not going to go away because I've got all these fibroids. And the only way to make this stop is a hysterectomy. I was like, at this point, and my doctor was like, you've done all you can do. So of course I went and got second opinion, and they were just like, yeah, there's nothing else, absolutely nothing else. So changing my diet didn't help, none of that stuff, because I tried those things first. And then I was like, you know what? I'm ready to reclaim my life. And I can't do this anymore. Of course, I've had some dark moments after the fact, after the hysterectomy. Sometimes I'm thinking like, did I mess up? Like, I just told my sister yesterday, I was like, should I get a uterus transplant? And she was like, what? I was like, maybe, maybe.
Whoa, let's talk about that. What is that and how does that happen?
You
We're
didn't see
still
the Grey's Anatomy episode where the lady got the
Yeah.
All right, first of all, Grey's Anatomy, you know, they walk around with people with a finger on a bomb in the chest. So don't do that. Like,
but it's a thing though. A doctor from the Cleveland Clinic that I spoke to, he mentioned that they haven't done a lot of them, but there are uterus transplants. And so they transplant the uterus, and then you're only able, I think, to have like one child with that uterus, and then that's it. Like,
Does it go away after that? Like, what happens?
they go ahead and take it back out.
Yeah.
So it's a rental.
Basically.
It's a loaner. It's,
loaner.
you know, you lease it.
Yeah, you lease it for a couple of years, then you got to give it back.
Yeah.
It would be more of a Mercedes or a Hyundai. What are you talking about?
I mean, it obviously it has to be probably the Mercedes of a uterus, you know, like it has to be one that hasn't had any issues,
Yeah.
you know, that would prevent a successful pregnancy. So I want to get some more like a doctor or somebody that can come in and actually talk about that, because we've been talking about this for the longest time. Not that I would really see the need to do that. I just think that's me personally, no offense to anybody else that would consider it, because some women do really want to have a child and it's like their life goal. And I get that. But for me, it's playing God too much. It's doing a little too much to your body. You don't know what's going to come. It weirds me out a little bit. It makes me afraid, but it's also at the same time, it's amazing that it can be done,
Yeah.
you know, for those women that want it.
Do they take it from people who just passed away? Like, where did they get the uterus?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They don't need it.
Well, it's like a heart patient. It's like a heart patient, a transplant, you know.
Yeah.
They wait for someone to, you know, be on that list.
I think there needs to be some more, because I don't think there's been but maybe a handful of them that have been done.
Yeah.
So I would need some more research on that. I don't plan to get it. I was just saying that to my sister yesterday, but going back to your question, some of my dark moments have been after surgery, because it's like, it's the body image that, you know, you're so used to seeing yourself a certain way with fibroids. So now it's like, okay, I don't have those now, but I still I don't feel different, because I feel like I'm still looking the same way almost. You know, it's this weird mind thing, I think.
But how do you feel post-surgery?
Pretty good.
Physically, like you're not.
Well, there's no periods. So, I don't think I need iron infusions anymore. I mean, I did have them after surgery, but I think I'm good now, which is, for me, that's huge, because I can't sit in that infusion center again.
Okay, no further questions.
Thank you. Chuck, you may approach the bench.
I think I look at it more from an emotional standpoint of it, because sometimes you don't understand what to or how to provide that to people. There's some people who don't want it. There's some people who want it, but then there's some people who want it on their terms. And I think that sometimes as men, we try to do as much as we can to really make it make sense and to keep peace. But there are some women who don't want peace. What can we do when these situations happen where someone does not want what is standard emotional support, and they want to make everything just difficult in general?
I think I mean, this is probably the first time I've heard of a woman feeling like that or being like that, although I can imagine it, because if we're going through a lot of stuff ourselves, mentally and emotionally dealing with it, it can be where we get irritable and just, I guess, depending on how the partner or the spouse comes to us with it, and if he's being genuine or if he's looking uncomfortable, then it just makes it all, you know, a whole big mess. But for me, I just feel like I would have liked conversation, non-avoidance. Don't avoid anything with me because I'm a communicator. I'm a Gemini, so that's how we do. I like to know up front, shoot straight from the hip, how you're feeling, because then I can feel like I'm not alone in dealing with this. And this shouldn't be a situation, especially if you have somebody, if you're in a relationship or married, that person should feel alone still. And I think for me, making decisions, like for me to make a decision, yes, my body, I'm going to do what I want to do with it. But I'm also considering this person that's in my life who, he's going to have an effect from it. Either it's going to be, he's confused, or the intimacy or whatever, there's going to be something he's going to have to deal with too. So the open we are about it, or his willingness to talk about it, or even read my signals, know when to say something, because sometimes men just come at you and you say stupid stuff, and you're like, you get you get irritated because
they
you're
don't
like,
sometimes read the room.
read the room, read how she's feeling that day. If she looks like, okay, I may need to get some flowers, or I may need to just rub her back, or I may need to just not do nothing but shut up.
Yeah, just shut up,
Or you just read her, and then she'll respond. I think, as for me, I'm a responder. So however you come at me, I'm gonna, I match your energy sometimes. So it's just having that thought to just say, okay, let me watch what she's doing. Let me watch how she's moving, but let me also be open and willing to listen, and not just be off somewhere else in my mind, but really be there, because that's so important to a woman that's going through these issues. And with the hysterectomy, that's a whole separate bag that women have to deal with. So it's like, that's the finale. That's it. There's no more. Yeah. And so that plays a mental, role too, a mental effect on you as well. And it's like, I'm okay with this, but is he okay with us not having any more children or having a child at all? Mm-hmm. I think that was my issue with the guy that I was dating. We both didn't have children, and we were older, and I've been wondering why he didn't have no children. That's a whole nother show, but I'm actually thinking about something. But anyway, it was like, this is a conversation for us, because don't you want a little, son or daughter running around, and he was kind of like me, where we left it in the hands of God. We were like, well, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. We're going to travel. We're going to do our thing. Yeah. But I still wanted that conversation. I still wanted to be sure from his point, I'm good. Trust me, I'm fine with not having children. I really mean it. I'm serious. And we need to take care of you, whatever is best for your health. That's what I wanted, that security of knowing, but I didn't get that. So
interestingly enough, that was kind of where, last situation where I had to deal with this woman in particular had, she was dealing with her fibroids, and I want to say her period extended for beyond the usual amount of
7 days. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was weeks. And, I tried to do those little things, I brought a little backrest and try to order food to be delivered so she doesn't have to move around, and things like that. I was called a Russell Wilson wannabe in the process. Yeah. And
who called you that? She called you that, or did your friends call you?
Yeah, she called me that.
So is Russell Wilson, is that and this may be a whole nother show, but is that a bad thing to be like Russell Wilson?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
In that context, I would say yes. My client did not deserve that type of treatment.
I think they're saying that it means you're like, because people think he's so soft and all this stuff, but
no, the word they used for him was corny. They said that he was corny.
Well, I heard simp, so that's why I'm like, I wouldn't imagine just because you're showing those signs that you should be considered that. But okay,
it really bothered me in the sense of just trying to do the little things to make the day easier for her, and that was what I was met with, and I was not happy about that.
Mm.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because that's not. Hmm. But see, I don't know.
No, it doesn't
I
jade.
can't speak for her.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
my opinion is not jaded. Again, I would never, jade my opinion because of what happened to that. But I thought that was just very off-putting, and I didn't really get it, especially when those were the things that I wanted to focus on, just making things just a little bit easier for the day, and to be told something like that was, and in anger at that, it was just very.
Oh, so hormones. That's what that was. Hormones.
And I was told that a couple of times. It was
Yeah.
just not. I didn't really. It was definitely said in a negative light. I just didn't really. I didn't understand that.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Next question.
I will clear up earlier what we were talking about earlier when the relationship I was in where the woman was uncomfortable and things like that. Yeah, we did not have sex after that for the duration of the relationship. And I want to say that was 2 years. 2.5 years probably. And that's okay. Like, again, I think when you get to a certain Chelley,
What am I doing?
Your face.
Oh, shit. I forgot where I'm. No, I'm thinking. I'm thinking. I'm a thinker. So I'm listening.
Place. Look, for me, I'm just like the three of y'all. We all have a lot going on. We have a lot of things that we deal with during the day, and it's a lot of work. We're just trying to just make it to live to see another day. So for me, I guess that whole sex side of it was just, look, if it happens, cool. If not, cool.
Is it a turn off? I think with some women, they feel that their husbands or boyfriends are not turned on by them once they know about their health issue. Is it? Did you guys ever feel that way? Like, because sometimes I would be and with fibroids, I was about to say hemorrhoids. With fibroids, it develops your stomach and you start getting this belly pooch like you're pregnant. And as a woman, we don't feel sexy and we don't feel we look good, or so when you parade around your partner, it could feel uncomfortable. But did that affect you all in any kind of way, or did that affect how you were intimate or viewed her intimately, not necessarily just sex, but intimately overall?
Yeah. Were you still attracted to her?
Were you still attracted to her?
Yes.
We don't believe you, but okay.
No, that's not fair.
Bombs.
Don't do that.
No, because y'all are just saying yes, but we want to hear more. That's what the eyes was.
Did we ask the question and answer the question?
I'll take this from here, Will. Look, I can't speak for Will, but for me in particular, and Chelley, no mean bombs here.
What am I doing?
For me, I don't have a type. So I don't get caught up in, this or this. You notice that people's body changes, but I don't let that affect my view of somebody or my attraction of someone. Not at all. And I think if anything else, it's character and all of that stuff. That's what bothers and changes a person, at least to me, not that. I've had a woman who has gone from a certain amount, and then I think she gained about 60 pounds over the course of the relationship. That's okay. Now her personality rubbed everybody the wrong way, including myself. But that doesn't change for me. I will never look at somebody differently because of that. I mean, everybody's body goes through changes, and you look at them the way that you always look at them. If you're not attracted to them as a whole, then you gotta do some rethinking there.
Well,
Cat Williams always said this self-esteem is called self, because you got to work on yourself. Like for me, I always are concerned about like my body. I was like, is she still gonna be attracted to me once I gain these 20 pounds? Because I ain't go walking, I ain't go on the track, and I ain't go to the gym. So I mean, so we all have those feelings. But if this woman does not mind if I put on a little more weight. Well, why would I mind? So so that question to me, it was like, okay, you can ask that question, but if we say no, we're still attracted, it's more than that, you know, like as Chuck said, like it's more personality, it's more the character, it's more what you've been through together that makes you attracted to that person. It's not just the body. So we understand if a woman might feel a little self-conscious because of the little pouch, because of that, and we also understand what's going on inside of her. But if that doesn't change my attraction to her, if anything else, it'll bring us closer if we really understand what's going on, because then you want to be intimate and really care for her and be careful. But I think the main thing is this going to hurt you, right? So if you tell me that it's not going to hurt you, then of course I'm still attracted, because you are the one I've been with this whole time, you know.
Exactly.
To us.
Exactly.
Good answer.
No, that's the truth. That's the truth, Shameika. Like,
I'm just messing with y'all.
no, it's the truth, because I don't have a type. I've never had a type, and I've dated a wide variety of women, a wide variety of just everything. So for me, it goes well beyond that. You know, what is your mental? You know, how are you dealing with, you know, what you deal with on a day-to-day basis? Because that to me is more stimulating. You know, how does people handle the little things about life and them and relationships? It goes, that will work itself out, but it goes beyond that. You know, you can have somebody that looks a certain way that you may think physically looks nice. The moment she starts speaking, you're like, no.
Oh yeah.
I liked you better when you were silent. So that, I think that, and also like Will just said earlier, this is a two-way street. If men are going to complain about women and the physical aspect of attraction, then we got to keep it up too, because, you know, we can't all of a sudden just let ourselves go. And then, you know, we're out here now looking like an oversized little terrier, and we're trying to dictate, you know, what goes on the other side of a relationship. That doesn't work. That's not going to work. You know, we have to stay, you know, in shape. We have to stay, not even in shape, but just in general, we have to keep up with ourselves as well. You know, we can't be dictating anything if we can't even keep up with ourselves. No.
Okay.
Amen.
Yes. We have time for a couple more questions. So we'll let you guys ask us another question.
What is this, a call-in show? What are you talking about? We don't have any more.
I told y'all to bring questions.
I asked a lot of questions.
He did.
Hysterectomy.
You know. Not reading. Well, I think go ahead, Bill.
No, I didn't want to
Chuck.
cut you off, Shelley. I think that it's more of a really just looking at the long-term thing of it, and that's the most important thing. And you know, me and Shameika, myself and Shameika, we talk offline, off the record, not, you know, from time to time. And I think it's about just making sure that someone is there to just be an understanding person of what's going on. And I know for me, I'm always trying to be that person, even with Shameika, you know, and I get on Shameika's nerves at least twice a week, twice a month. Thank you. I know I do. And you know, it's on a wide variety of things. I live a very circus-like life, but I also want to be that person that can, you know, be a phone call away, a text away, things like that. So I think it just goes beyond just the short-term look of it. It's really a long-term, because I couldn't begin to imagine what y'all have to deal with on that end of it. You know, I deal with iron infusions myself as a man, and it's brutal. It's brutal. And I don't even have the parts that y'all have to deal with the other side of it. So I couldn't begin to imagine what that is like. So I always just try to at least be a person of peace, a person of maybe just good outlook, good spirits, things like that.
Oh,
we appreciate that.
yes.
That sentiment very much.
And you ain't called me back from yesterday, but I'm just kidding.
Oh, my bad.
So basically, everything you just said.
I was under the weather yesterday. So.
I'll give you a pass.
Well, is there any advice that you can give men who may be tuning in, or some of the women who will be listening and sharing this with their boyfriends or husbands? Is there any information or any wisdom, any advice that you can share for them?
And don't let Shameika on your Facebook group page. Oh no, listen, if they're listening to this podcast, that they're already educating themselves on what they might have to go through, or what, or they're, they know what they've been through. So I think with the men, if they're going to tell anything to the men, just help educate them about what's going on, because sometimes, like, again, you don't know what you don't know. So you have to let men know exactly what is going on with you. And if they don't want to listen, then you have to try to either get away from them because they're not for you, or just try to get them to find a way to empathize with what you might be going through, and really understand, not just say, hey, I have fibroids, like, oh my God, that means we can't have sex. No, educate with them about where they came from, why they hurt, and what it really means for the future of the relationship.
Mm-hmm. That's good advice.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Chuck?
I agree. I think that it goes definitely with, it starts with just listening to your partner. Listen to your partner. That's what it starts. You have to listen to your partner beyond, we're not going to be able to have sex. It goes way beyond it. You have to listen, and men have to understand that patience is very key. That you can wait. All right, it may not be the ideal timeline that works, but you can wait. I mean, there's sometimes more to life than just aiming for one thing when you're being told that, because now it affects everything, and it can affect sometimes the complete aspect of your relationship that will disintegrate off something else that's not even related to that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those are very good, very good advice for our male listeners.
Yeah, and for the women, because
and for women, yeah,
they can hear what you guys are saying and then take that back to their own relationship and explain to their guy, like, listen, let's sit down and talk about it. Don't stand in the bathroom in Vegas and try to have a conversation about it. That's not how you do things.
What is with you in bathrooms, Shameika?
At myself and Will's doorstep, but
don't send them over. Don't do it.
But I mean, it could be a teachable moment. Men have to sometimes listen and read the room.
Yeah.
The two things that sometimes really hold us back in the grand scheme of things. We don't listen, and sometimes we just don't read the room. That is very important in this type of scenario.
Exactly. Well, we want to thank you both for joining us today on Ladies Edition. I know I've learned a lot. How about you, Chelley? I
have learned a ton of things. I most certainly have. So we definitely appreciate you guys coming on and sharing your, being transparent with your experience with it. And we do hope and know honestly that this will help women who are in relationships right now that have a lot of these questions and want to know the male side of things, how men handle this and deal with it. So we do thank you for coming on and sharing.
Thank you, Shameika. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you both. And my client.
Thanks for being such a great attorney and client.
I've been a horrible client.
You're great. I'm telling you, we're gonna start a union soon. It's fine. Don't matter what it's about.
All right. I am going to stop recording.